Somebody said, well, you know, there's this guy, he's a resident out at Travis Air Force Base, and he saw a friend of mine.
I heard about this radiation oncologist who was doing this interesting work to help people with cancer mobilize their immune systems.
It didn't fit into the conventional model of cancer at the time.
It was certainly nothing I ever heard about in medical school.
Every time that I would actually see the work done, it was like a light came on.
He's telling his patients with cancer to imagine that their white blood cells are racing around on horseback, doing a search and destroy missions looking for cancer cells. And he says, and he's starting to have some really interesting results. I said, I got to talk to this guy.
My first patient in 1971 got well when he was supposed to die. He had an advanced cancer of the throat. I asked him to imagine the treatment working in an ideal way and his body healing the area, and then to imagine himself stream fishing the Oregon streams. And he said, I always catch more fish in my imagination. He got well quickly, and he had no side effects from high-dose radiation therapy. And that led me into exploring the role of the mind in the healing process.
Certainly in the 1970s, there was also not as much of an understanding of the connection between mind and body. It seemed improbable. How could the mind have this kind of effect so that it might alter immune functioning and maybe even improve outcome? I think that was a big leap for people to get over. It was hard for me.
I can only imagine some of the heat he must have been taking in the early days. Cancer, to think that the mind could have a role in cancer.
Here was a radiation oncologist, traditionally trained, who said not only that the mind-body connection is important and valuable, but that it could actually influence outcome.
It was truly exciting. It was like such an energetic time.
The scientific map began to be drawn of the connections between mind and body. The biochemical connections, the physiological connections, the anatomical connections between the mind and the immune system. Okay, now here's the scientific basis. Now we know how it could happen. Let's see if it really does.
And there was so much to do about it. It was like a revolutionary force in and of itself.
But still, there are people who don't believe it.
I knew it would be difficult, but I just didn't know how difficult it was going to be.
The American Cancer Society really derailed his career.
They were interested in the accepted conventional approach, and that's all.
Simonton's work was very much misunderstood. It was oversimplified to the point that all that came out of it was positive visualization.
Using imagery, it's one piece of a very formal, sophisticated treatment intervention model.
The Simonton work represents the capacity of each person to help and heal him or herself.
It didn't require necessarily a lot of money, a lot of pharmaceuticals, a lot of interventions, a little hospital time. It didn't require a lot.
And that challenges the basic role of the physician as the unquestioned authority.
The patient is not told about all the options they have because there's not money associated largely with complementary and alternative approaches.
It's a medical model which says the real medicine is radiation, chemotherapy, surgery, real medicine for cancer. Everything else is peripheral. Now, the financial incentives set it up so that that belief will be perpetuated.
Follow the money. And I will be real direct here. It's a crime, some of the things that are being done.
I can care for somebody doing imagery and biofeedback and mind body medicine, acupuncture, nutritional supplements, homeopathy, Ayurveda, whatever it may be, for the cost, and I can take care of somebody for 6 months doing all of that for probably less than the cost of one epidural injection that could give somebody a few days of pain relief. But insurance will pay for the epidural, it won't pay for amongst other things. So everybody's being paid for doing something to people, but they're not being paid to talk to them. They're not being paid to teach them. They're not being paid to support them and to encourage natural healing systems.
And so we address the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of the individual to impact the course of their disease, influence the quality of their lives, and impact the quality of their deaths. Our focus is twofold: increase the joy and decrease the suffering, and both are important.
Is this one of the things that brings you joy, Dad?
Yep.
What's her name?
Stella. Stella. Stella Bella.